All right, let's talk about one of the biggest buzzwords out there, machine learning. We're going to pull back the curtain and demystify it, getting right into what's really going on in the world of AI. So have you ever been in a conversation where the term machine learning gets thrown around and you just kind of nod along, not totally sure what it all means? Yeah, you are definitely not alone. It's a huge topic, but the core idea, it's something we can all totally get. You know, the best way to think about machine learning isn't as some single, mysterious black box that just does AI. Instead, I want you to picture a giant, powerful toolkit, just filled with all these specialized instruments. The real magic isn't just owning the toolkit, it's knowing exactly which tool to grab for which specific job. Okay, so let's grab our first tool. This one is by far the most common one you'll see. We're going to call it the teacher's pet because, well, it learns best when you give it clear examples and all the right answers up front. The official name for this is supervised learning. Imagine you're studying for a huge test with a massive stack of flashcards. You've got the question on one side and the correct answer on the back. You just drill them over and over until you can see a question and instantly know the answer. That is exactly what this algorithm is doing. It's learning from a whole bunch of data that's already been labeled with the right answers.
Now, this teacher's pet really has two main jobs, and this slide lays it out perfectly. On the one hand, it can predict a number. That's called regression. Think about trying to guess, what will this house sell for? On the other hand, it can predict a category, which we call classification. The classic example here is your email trying to figure out, is this message spam or is it not spam? Two different jobs, one smart tool.
And here are just a few of the technical names for these tools you might hear thrown around. Things like linear regression or decision trees. You don't have to memorize them. Just know that these are the go-to instruments in that supervised learning part of our toolkit. But what happens when your data doesn't have all those neat little labels? What if it's just a big, chaotic mess? Well, that's when you call in our second tool, the detective. This one loves the chaos. It's all about finding clues on its own. This is called unsupervised learning. And the big difference is there are no right answers to study from. It's like someone handing you a gigantic, jumbled pile of laundry, socks, shirts, pants, everything all mixed up. The detective's job is to sort it all into logical piles, without any instructions, just by finding the hidden patterns and groups all by itself. So what kind of detective work are we talking about? Well, first there's clustering. That's literally the laundry sorting, grouping similar things together. Then you have dimensionality reduction, which is just a fancy way of saying it simplifies really complex data. And finally, association, which is all about finding those interesting relationships you might not see, like how people who buy potato chips often buy soda too. Our third tool is a whole different kind of learner. It doesn't study flashcards, it doesn't sort messy piles. Nope, this one learns by doing. Let's meet the gamer, an absolute expert at learning through trial and error. The formal name is reinforcement learning, and the idea behind it is something you already know. Think about training a dog. When it sits, you give it a treat. That's a reward. When it chews on the furniture, maybe it gets a firm no, a penalty. Over time, the dog just naturally learns which actions get the good results. This algorithm works the exact same way. And it all works in this constant feedback loop. The algorithm takes an action out in the world gives it feedback, either a reward or a penalty. The algorithm learns from that outcome and then adjusts its strategy to try and get more rewards next time. It's just this endless cycle of trying, failing, learning, and getting smarter, just like a gamer trying to master a really tough level. So, we've met the teacher's pets, the detective, and the gamer, and each one of them is pretty powerful on their own. But what happens when they start working together? Well, that's when this toolkit gets really interesting. This brings us to the world of what's called ensemble methods. The idea is actually really simple, but it's also profound. If one model is good, a whole team of models working together is usually way, way better. It really is like the wisdom of the crowd, but for algorithms. You combine a bunch of different perspectives to create one single superpowered result that's way more accurate than any one model could be on its own. And the names of these team-based tools, well, they sound just as powerful as they are. You'll hear things like random forests, gradient boosting, XGBoost. These are the all-star players that data scientists use to win competitions and solve really tough problems with amazing accuracy.
And finally, we have to talk about the heavy machinery in our toolkit, deep learning. Think of this as the next generation. It's a more advanced type of machine learning that uses these really complex structures called neural networks. These are the absolute powerhouse tools behind things like image recognition, voice assistance, and even self-driving cars. They're built for the most complicated jobs we have. Okay, so we've looked at the studious teacher's pet, the clever detective, the persistent gamer, and even whole teams of algorithms working together. After all that, what's the one big thing you should remember? If you take one thing away from this, let it be this. Machine learning isn't some kind of magic. It's a craft. It's a toolkit filled with all these different powerful instruments. Being good at it isn't about finding one single algorithm that solves every problem. It's about really understanding your problem and then choosing the perfect tool from the kit to get the job done right. And that really is the most exciting part. Because once you understand the toolkit, you can start looking at the world, at all the challenges and opportunities out there, and you can start to ask a really simple but really powerful question. Now that we know what these tools can do, what problems should we solve next?